welcome to the Power Zone Sports Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about
the Cowboys have a battle with the New York Jets.
Please like and subscribe and follow us on Twitter or look down below. And I'll give this podcast to my brother.
Well, the baseball playoffs are in full swing now in the league championship series. We have the Houston Astros taking on the New York Yankees, and we had the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Washington Nationals. And the St. Louis Cardinals are down 2-0 in the National League Championship Series, as Washington has really appears as though this team looks like they may have enough to go all the way. They've taken the first 2 games in St. Louis, and the next 2 games will be in Washington. So if you're a Nationals fan, you've got to feel happy about your chances. A 3-1 win yesterday by the Nationals over the Cardinals. And if you're a Washington Nationals fan, you've got to be happy about the way the Nationals have done, as they are 2 wins away, and they can get those 2 wins at home. What a great standing for the Washington Nationals. And we'll see if they can get those 2 wins and make it to their first ever World Series. And in the American League Championship Series, the Yankees get a 7-0 win over the Houston Astros. And how about the debut in the American League Championship Series? How about the rise of Gleyber Torres? He hit a home run, and that was the first home run of this ALCS. And then Giancarlo Stanton went deep as well. Another home run in the top of the 9th by Gio Urshela that seemed to put the game out of reach. Made it 6-0 at that point, and then 7-0. The Yankees ended up getting a win, and it was a big win for the Yankees. 7-0 in the American League Championship Series. Held this potent Houston offense to just 3 hits, and Zach Greinke suffers another loss in this American League postseason. He was lit up by the Rays, and the Yankees got to him as well. Zach Greinke, who was a big trade at midseason to get him over, but it seems like he may not. Something about the postseason for Zach Greinke in the American League. Teams in the American League seem to have his number this postseason. But we'll see if he gets skipped in this next start or if the rotation decides to include him anyway. So we'll see how that goes for Houston. They need to come back and take game 2, and we'll see if they can do that later tonight.
And now it's time for game night. Hello and welcome to Game Night. Today we're going to talk about the Fortnite live event. The date will start on the Fortnite live event is Sunday, October 13th. The time is 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. So, Joey, what do you think about the live event in Fortnite right now? Do you think it's going to give us a new map, or do you think it's just going to destroy the island? What do you think?
New map.
And do you think it's going to be like Season 11 or Fortnite Chapter 2? Which one?
I'm going to say Season 11.
Well, you're wrong, because it's Fortnite Chapter 2, and we're going to get a new map which has boats and roads, maybe. But this is just a hypothesis. This is just an estimate on what will happen. So, yeah. The Fortnite live event countdown timer right now, it's right above Dusty Depot, and it's near Gotham City and Loot Lake, and that's where all the things are going to happen. So yeah, the event's gonna be crazy, and we know it's gonna be crazy because the 7 visitors of Fortnite are all gonna team up, and yeah. So the visitors in a time loop right now. Whenever the cube explodes, he goes back to Season 4. It repeats, and then once looped, maybe will he remember himself, or maybe he will be silenced again, just like the others. Maybe that's from one of the tapes. So yeah, so Loot Lake is in a time loop right now, and once the countdown timer hits 0, the whole island will be gonna, I don't know, but the whole island is like a time loop. And once the timer hits 0, Loot Lake will be exploding again, like what we saw in the Fortnite Season 10 trailer. So, yeah. And from the leagues we have, there's like 3 visitors. There's a female visitor, there's a Season 4 visitor, and there's a Season 10 visitor. It's called The Scientist, and he's one of the newest, besides the female. And yeah, so the Fortnite live event timer will start today, and the event will start in a few hours. And yeah, so that's basically all I have today, because that's all interesting stuff that's happening right now in the Fortnite community. So thanks for watching, and I'll give this podcast to my brother.
So we have an NFL game being played overseas. We got the Panthers and the Buccaneers playing overseas in London, and not a fan of these overseas games. I don't know. I just think these games should stay stateside. I mean, I can't imagine as a season ticket holder you have to suddenly pay for these tickets plus preseason for the regular season and then have to grab a flight to London to watch your favorite team. I just don't think these international games are particularly good for the long flight these teams have to endure, or for the football to be endured either. So I'm just not a fan of these international games, and I just think they are bad for the game. America's game should stay stateside in the United States, if at all possible. For the first time that I can recall, we have 2 winless teams set to face each other. For the Washington Redskins taking on the Dolphins in Miami, the 0-5 Redskins against the 0-4 Dolphins, and both these teams have been atrociously bad. The Redskins just fired their head coach, Jay Gruden. Bill Callahan will become the interim head coach of the Redskins, but it's not going to be an easy rebuild for the Washington franchise, but they will need to get back on track. I think this year is a lost cause for them. Starting Dwayne Haskins when there's no talent around him I've heard some fans say that might wreck his confidence, starting him with no talent around him, but it's going to be, to me, I'm convinced, you pay the quarterback all that money, might as well bring him out there for a trial balloon and see what he can do for the rest of this season at least. It's not going to be a winning season for the Redskins, but it will be at least we'll see how Haskins does. At least he'll see if he was a decent quarterback at Ohio State, so we'll see if he can translate that to the pros or not. And maybe not this season is a fair one to judge him on, but at least I believe maybe 3 years down the road, we'll certainly get a more complete picture on whether Dwayne Haskins is a complete quarterback in this league or if they need to move on elsewhere. Because if you don't have a good quarterback in this league, you need one. And how could we do a podcast and not even mention America's team, the Dallas Cowboys? They've lost 2 in a row, and they're going to be taking on the winless New York Jets. And we'll see if the Cowboys can right the ship and move on to 4-2 on the season, or if the Jets can pull the upset and get their first win of the season. Sam Darnold back at quarterback for the Jets, and we'll see if that has any impact on them. And the Cowboys, I think they can right the ship and get a win, but they need to have a more, I think, ball control type offense. I would give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott at least 20 times a game, no matter if the defense is stacking the 8-man front in the box, whatever they try to do. Ezekiel Elliott's got to get at least 20 carries a game. The Cowboys win when he gets his touches, so we've got to get him involved in the offense. And if you don't even get the running game going, well, that puts a lot more pressure on your passing game. And the Cowboys, they need to build a lead, and they need to keep a lead going. I'm tired of this team playing from behind. Once they got behind against Green Bay, it seemed like they just couldn't get on track as Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions, although only one of those interceptions was truly his fault. One went through the hands of Amari Cooper, And Amari Cooper's got to step up in the receiving department as well. On the defensive end, I've been really disappointed by the defensive intensity. Where has the pressure been? Where has the sacks been coming from? The defense needs to step up their intensity, get in the face of Darnold, force turnovers, get some interceptions, recover a loose football, get a fumble when you're on the defensive end. And I think the Cowboys, if they do that, they should be well on their way to victory in today's game.
Thanks for listening to the Power Zone Sports Podcast. Please like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. A link will be down below. And I'll see you in the next podcast. And have a happy Columbus Day. Bye.